It is a first wives world. I made a video about that. And that's understandable. People who are in monogamy are first wives. They are only wives. So they will be first wives if it would be a point where their husband decides to practice polygyny. Assalamu alaikum, peace. It's your coach, Coach Nyla, one of the co-founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships, as well as co-author of the book, Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored. And this video is going to deal with feeling unloved, unheard, unprotected as a wife in polygyny. We've seen that asked a number of different ways or brought up in the comments, in our emails, in our sessions, in many different ways. But it all comes down to not feeling loved, protected, heard by your husband in polygyny. Here's the thing. We want to make sure that we are communicating in a way that is being received. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later, because when it comes down to it, we have our feelings. It's understandable. Whether you are an initial wife, whether you are a subsequent wife, or a wife that is coming into the marriage, usually I do hear it from subsequent wives that they don't feel heard or they don't feel protected because they feel that their husband is spending more of his time convincing and consoling the initial wife. I'm seeing that a lot around the board, and in some ways it's really understandable. Not that it's understandable that someone is being left on the back burner or left on the side while another one gets the attention that society thinks that they deserve. And the reason why I'm saying that is that it is a first wives world. I made a video about that. And that's understandable. People who are in monogamy are first wives. They are only wives. So they will be first wives if it would be a point where their husband decides to practice polygyny. So the world is made up of more first wives than it is of subsequent wives. So it's understandable where a lot of the focus tends to be first wife focus. However, that does not negate the fact that there are feelings on the other side. And it does go with people not understanding or not caring, whatever the case may be. And I'm calling it out for what it is, because we need to bring attention and awareness to the situation. People are people. We have our feelings, we have our insecurities, we have our dramas, our challenges, but we also have our triumphs and the things that we like and everything like that. And it's not always the same. And we know that it's not always, and we're different. So to be so focused on one end and not understanding that there is another side that needs that protection and that honor and that support, it causes an imbalance. And if we care about our team winning, if we care about our families winning, our husbands winning, we got to let it be known that that balance has to be served, even when it's against us. This is what I mean. Coach Nazir makes a comment about protecting his family from all things foreign and domestic. And I love the way he says that, because what it means is that I'm going to protect my family from outside of my family, but I'm going to also protect my family from what's going on inside the family. Families have issues. Families have disputes. Families have drama. Not all the time, but with life, you have ups and downs and ebbs and flows and highs and lows and things like that. But to have a leader that sees the big picture, that sees what's going on all around the board and be able to differentiate where it's something that's being manipulative or something that's really being an issue or a challenge or a problem. That takes a lot in a leader. That also takes a lot as us, it takes a lot for us as wives, as women, to step out of our own emotions for a second and say, hey, is this something that's true? Meaning that, am I overreacting? Or is this something that is a valid feeling that I'm having? Either way, these are things that you must discuss with your husband if you're feeling unprotected. If you're feeling that he's leaning on one side, if you feel that he is not listening, these are things you must discuss. How do you discuss these things? First and foremost, learn your learning styles. Learn your communication styles. And it's not some cookie cutter thing, but when you start to be around your spouse and know your spouse and listen to your spouse, you start to learn their language of communication. Some, it may be easy for them to see something written because all the things are out there on paper. There's no interruptions, anything like that, or on a cell phone, tablet, whatever, but it could be easier in writing. Another thing is that certain words can be trigger words. I learned one of the trigger words for Coach Nazir is don't. Like if you're trying to calm a situation down, I'm just going to give a little example. I like to diffuse situations before it happens. So if I think that it's some negative energy that's coming into my space, my initial thing is saying, don't have an attitude, don't be upset, don't, that type of thing. However, sometimes with other people, that may seem like you're trying to tell them how to feel and tell them what to do. And if you think about it and listen to it, it kind of does. But that may not be your intention. I know it's not mine, but I tend to come across that way from time to time. So knowing the communication style, knowing how a person takes things, knowing trigger words, you have to get into that and know those things so you are able to communicate effectively. Meaning you want to communicate to be heard. You want them to be able to receive the information you're given, even if it's a hard conversation. So a couple tips. One is making sure that you know what triggers them and not do things to trigger them, meaning that using these certain words. Another thing, and I would say that's before, I guess it could be either way, but another thing is to ask if they're receptive, because now you're adding intentionality, if that's a word, that now you put it out there that I'm going to talk about some things that I want you to be receptive to. So now that's already put on the table is that, okay, are you receptive? Are you in a receptive mood? Also, you must also be in a receptive mood too. Communication is not a one-sided thing. You want to make sure that they're hearing you and you are hearing them. That you're not jumping to the defensive. I did a video about how to communicate without being defensive. So you want to make sure you are communicating without getting defensive. And if that's coming up in the conversation, then you have to have some type of word or phrase or touch to allow you guys to stop so it don't go any further down a negative path. And another thing is to understand it's a process, it's a journey. Everything is not going to happen overnight. A person is not going to just understand everything you want them to understand in one whop. That learning the styles and learning how to communicate is going to take time. It's going to take understanding. It's going to take a process. It's going to take you being willing to work on that process. And if you see that that is the case, even if it's just a little bit of an inkling of trying, then you know that you're in it to win it and you're working for the bigger goal. But it comes with communication. We should not expect anyone in our relationship, whether it's our spouse, whether it's our children, whether it's our co-wife, if our husband's practicing polygyny or anything like that, to be mind readers. However, communication goes both ways. Initiating communication goes both ways. So we don't want to place blame. We want to take responsibility, even if it's something that could be possibly hurting us or bothering us. So initiate the conversation. Find out if the person is receptive, and use effective communication tactics in order to get your point heard, as well as listen with your 2 ears more than you talk with your 1 mouth, so you can understand where they're coming from as well. I hope that helped. I want you guys to give me some tips of what you guys use to effectively communicate, even when it comes to the hard conversations, when it comes to feeling unprotected, unloved, unsupported by your spouse. If you ever went through that kind of conversation, or if you knew somebody that have went through that type of thing and you gave them some type of advice, good vibes only, guys, seriously, because it's really difficult. It's a challenge when you have the world against you or saying a lot of negative things, because we're in a cancel culture right now. And so people definitely was like, okay, they made me mad, forget them. Or they hurt my feelings, oh, they're canceled. Things as far as that. And it is very difficult to create loving, lasting, fulfilling relationships when we're Xing people out for every little thing that they do. So hope you guys got some great information from that. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You want some more information about our coaching and counseling and our other wonderful programs to help you build outstanding relationships. Make sure you check out outstandingpersonalrelationships.com/store. So until next time, make sure you are growing intentionally, loving fearlessly, and connecting on a higher level every single day. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Here are 3 ways outstanding personal relationships can help you.
Make sure you guys are following us on our social medias at Outstanding Personal Relationships on YouTube and Facebook, and on IG at Outstanding Relationships, and also Clubhouse under our names.
And make sure you go to outstandingpersonalrelationships.com and sign up for our email list. And there you will get updates on our new book, Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored.
Absolutely. And last but not least, when it comes to coaching or counseling, if you want to work with us one-on-one or in group settings, make sure you're on that website and reach out to us, because we do have very limited spots and we usually have a wait list. So with that being said, GLC.
Make sure you are growing intentionally,
loving fearlessly,
and connecting on a higher level every single day. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.